What is going on? It is Tuesday night, and you know what that means. You are back with the brothers from the 818-91331. We in the house. What's up, Caleb? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I like how you chopped it up right there. Brothers from the 818, man. It's good, man. It's good. How's everything with you?
Man, I can't complain at all. I don't know if I should be envious, man. Your background looks a little different. You in the woods? Is that a cabin? Is that one of them Zoom fake artificial backgrounds? Move around real quick for me. Let me see if it blurs up, man. Is it? Nah, that's
No,
real. That's legit. You ain't at home. Where you at, man?
I'm out on the road, man. I'm out on the road. We're supposed to be in Jamaica. I was supposed to be in Jamaica, probably like day 3 or 4 in Jamaica. I'll let you know I haven't had any rum punch. I'm not in Jamaica. Before COVID jumped off, we had plans to go to Jamaica with COVID in place, right? We're in Utah. We drove to Vegas yesterday. Pretty much kept to ourselves. We did go down to a pool, went to an aquarium. Didn't go out at all. Didn't gamble at all. First time I'm in Vegas as an adult and not gambling. And then we drove to Zion National Park in Utah. I didn't even realize, man. I need to check my geography. I need to get a little bit better than that. I thought I was going to drive from Cali to Nevada into Utah, but we spent about, I don't know, about 40 miles in Arizona, which was really cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this is the real deal, man. I want to be here for a couple of days and then head back, reverse my route. I'm gonna go back to Vegas and maybe I'll touch some tables, um, and then get back to Cali. Something interesting in Vegas. Um, I thought they were doing pretty good for Vegas. I thought they were doing pretty good in regards to restrictions. They had security guards enforcing masks, at least in the elevators, right? As people were entering and exiting the elevators, security guards. I saw someone get hemmed up and just not hemmed up, but get instructed to put on their mask. I also saw like how the tables have like plexiglass in front of the dealers, and I thought that was really cool too, man. So there's my same issue, yeah, but it's Cali, Nevada, Vegas. Um, even here in Utah, I see people wearing their masks below their nose. I see people wearing their masks under their chin, and that's a little alarming still. But you know, I'm glad we made it here safe, man. What's going on with you?
Man, before I get to that, I'm a little jealous, man. Didn't you just come off vacation
Come
like
on,
2 weeks ago?
come on,
And,
man.
and now you in Utah, man. Do you have a
Come on.
job? Did you get laid off and you didn't tell a brother? You
I
retired?
still got my job.
Is
I
that
still
what
got
it
my
is?
job, and I still have all my hours of vacation on the books too.
Okay.
So, you
All
know,
right.
I might dip a little bit after this trip, but I'm still employed. I'm still can pay my bills. How about
Okay.
you?
Man, still employed. Yeah, definitely that.
Okay.
I don't get vacation. You know that. I mean, I rack up vacation hours, but being able to take vacation is a whole nother thing. But, all of us don't work for the county. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to leave it at that. No, man,
You
things are
sound
good.
jealous. You
Um,
do sound jealous right there, man.
I am. Got a little hateration up
You
in my.
did sound.
So I got a little haterade on me, but it's good to see you're able to get away with the fam, man. Get a little vacation up in you, and it looks beautiful. I mean, all I can see is the wood, but I can just imagine, especially being in Utah, the national park. Y'all gonna have a good time, man. I'm feeling good about that. So
Appreciate the love.
I always think it's nice to get away. Still feeling some birthday love, man. Man, my girl, she knows I love Star Wars. So, when she has an opportunity to get me something Star Wars, she does. She got me a bedazzled Darth Vader card, man. And as much as I appreciated the Darth Vader, I was like, but it's bedazzled.
That's what I was at right there. That's where I was at.
Even the boys came down and they saw it. They were like, "You got a bedazzled Darth Vader, Dad." I was like, "I know." And they were like, "All right," and just kept walking, right? And so She gonna hear this and she gonna be like, I ain't watched. You'll see the next time I get you anything, right? But yeah, she's gonna be a bedazzled Darth Vader, man. So yeah, man. This is Hey, let me put it this way. Remember back in the day, and I don't think you did it, but I'm sure you was with somebody who did when you was in high school or junior high or whatever, and you was dating somebody, and she'd be like, happy anniversary, and you'd be like, we've been dating for like 3 weeks. Be like, I know, it's our 3-week anniversary, right? And you start celebrating little mini anniversaries that ain't really anniversaries, but somebody wants to celebrate them anyway, so you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah, you hit it on the head. No, man, sometimes I have to remember that we don't cuss. But
Right.
no, I never done that. No,
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to say you happy anniversary, man, because this is episode number 20.
that,
And next week I'll say 21. That's all good, but 20, man. This is to me, this is kind of a milestone, and not because I didn't feel like we'd make it. I feel that our 500th episode is out there, and I felt that from day one. But we've hit 20, so 20 episodes in 20 weeks, man. I know we skipped not last week, but the week before. But there was one earlier one where we doubled up. So,
right, right.
so,
Yeah.
so we're at 20 episodes, man, and on little anniversary, fake anniversary or not, I think that's worthy of celebrating because they say you do anything 21 times, that makes a habit. I'm like, I don't know if I buy into that at all. But what I will say is we've been committed to this for 20 weeks, and that's something.
I was gonna say that, man. I'm in Utah, man. Utah is kind of like a dry state of all the states, and I don't have anything to drink, man. But it's definitely worth celebrating. So, yeah. Thank you for taking the time to acknowledge just the growth that we've had over the last 20 weeks, man. It's a big deal. It's for real.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I want to talk about that. A couple check-in points I got to bring up. I think we're in the middle. I'm not sure if it's over of the Republican National Convention. Last week was the Democratic National Convention. Both Biden and Kamala accepted the nominations. This week, both Pence and our current president accepted their nominations. I don't have a whole lot to say about them. I think Obama gave a very powerful speech. He came out and said his thing. Michelle came out and did her part. It was nice to see them. But what I'm really looking forward to is Kamala versus Pence.
Yeah.
Debate, man. That's just, the vice presidential debate. I'm looking forward to, honestly, more than the presidential debate. I just kind of want to see Kamala rip him up one side and down the other, because that's her thing. She can grill you like no other. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, here I am thinking, I recorded all of the DNC. I caught only the highlights of it, though. I recorded it with being very with the intentions of watching all of it. I just haven't gotten to it. I've been kind of busy, and I was looking forward to watching the RNC, but as you know, I've been on the road, and not that important. I'm not recording the RNC, but something that I did catch as I came into the room is that they were talking about the production of the RNC being like a high quality. And when I heard that, I immediately assumed that the quality was better than the DNC. Now they had an extra week to prepare, and they had some time to say, oh, that worked, that didn't work, and let's do this instead of that. And so I think some of that is taking place, but you can't get around the shucking and jiving and the lies and the half truths, right? And that's something else that I heard was, from some of the critics of the RNC. They're putting on a facade as if they're doing more than they have in the 4 years, right? They're giving themselves more credit for more credit for some of the initiatives and plans that the president has put in place, and when we get a little bit closer to the election, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about do some fact checking, right? And hold everybody accountable, not just President Trump, but the Democrats as well, because I have some issues with them as well.
Right. Well, I think politics and lying go hand in hand, unfortunately. So, you got to decipher through the weeds to get to anything good that exists. So we're definitely going to dig into that as we get closer. I think we still have a guest in mind of somebody that's going to help us navigate those waters on a real high level. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think the production value that they talk about, it's always about who can one up who. The thing is, it's really, it's for the individual, because people don't look forward to the RNC, the DNC for production value. Who's going to put on a better show? It's really about how much money do we want to spend to announce our people, right? And they do it, and you move forward. Nothing's really coming out in the RNC and the DNC that won't come out again later through a debate or through news or through interviews or what have you. And that's our time. I think it's just good. It was good to see, like I said, Kamala and Biden accept the nominations. It was good to see past presidents and first ladies get up there and say their mind and speak. It's always nice to see them come together and do their thing. I think I typically vote Democrat, but what I like to say is I'm following whoever it is going to meet my needs the best for the next 4 years. Yeah. Is typically how I look at voting, because I'm more interested in where the country's going than what political party I got to stand behind. So that's just my 3 cents. So a couple, just newsworthy things. Did you hear about the woman in Michigan that they found breathing in a funeral home? I know this sounds like a joke, right, that I got a punchline to, but a woman in Michigan in a funeral home, the employees of the funeral home found her breathing. She was brought there by the paramedics, dropped off as a corpse, but they found her breathing. Did you hear about that?
No. And by the way, why are paramedics dropping bodies off at funeral homes without taking them to the hospital first? The paramedics could declare someone dead.
Yeah.
And they don't have to go to a hospital or anything like that?
Apparently not in Michigan.
The mafia need to invest in some paramedics businesses and just start taking people out and just drop them off at the funeral home, and you don't even have to run anything by a medical staff.
Yeah, that one to me was, I'm still kind of like, is this fake news? Is this real news? I mean, it's been all over, but apparently she had cardiac arrest, 20-year-old woman. They tried to revive her. They had no signs of life. Paramedics left. The police called the paramedics back. It's like, hey, she's breathing and moving. And they're like, no, that's just a sign of the drugs we gave her to try to revive her, stimulating her body. And so they dropped off at the funeral home, and the funeral home was like, no, she's breathing. You have to come get her. And they came and got her and took her to the hospital.
Right. You're like, no, right now she's cussing, saying, what the hell am I doing at this funeral home? Who got me here? And you trying to tell me that's just your medication? No, she just cussed me out and and talked about my mama. Right?
What she was really trying to say is, I'm not dead, but she put a whole lot of expletives in the middle of that. So I found that to be completely humorous. Something not so funny. Jacob Blake, heard about him?
No.
Brother got shot in the back 7 times by the police, unarmed. He was trying to get in his car.
Was this in Los Angeles?
No. I'm trying to figure out where he was from. I'm gonna have to look that one up and get back to you on that. I probably should have been prepared with that one a little bit.
No, because I heard, we're driving, and I did most of the driving today, and I'm hearing conversations in the vehicle about some rioting going on in Los Angeles, and I just haven't. I'm not up on that news just yet.
Right. This was Wisconsin.
Oh wow.
So he's alive, paralyzed from the neck down, and so there's a big uproar about that and what's going to happen and so forth. So, I hate to say it, but same old thing. still going on. And, I wasn't there, so I don't have enough news to know what happened that caused an unarmed man to be shot 7 times in the back. I don't know what else I need to hear on that, but, yeah, that's going on as well.
Did
So
I assume that Jacob Blake is black, a black man?
absolutely.
Hmm. So,
Absolutely.
that may have been a Freudian slip, man. You said that an unarmed man was shot
Black.
7
Yeah, you heard that? I
black.
thought I was going to slip that one in unknown, but you caught it. So it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's kind of my check-in, man. I just wanted to, I know you've been on the road, so I wanted to make sure I at least brought up, what's happening in America right now. What's the weather out there? Because you rode through Vegas. So is it sweltering there like it is here?
Yeah. California, hot.
Yeah.
Nevada, hot. Arizona, hot. Utah, hot.
All right.
Oh, triple digits everywhere I go.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I got in the car yesterday. It said 91 degrees. I was like, whoo, this is all right. I felt pretty good about it versus the 104 of the day before and something like that. I am not looking forward to getting the electricity bill this month because of all the time the air conditioner's been running. So anyway, man, let's jump into this. So I'd already told you happy anniversary. We've done 20 episodes, man. So anniversary, not congratulations. You are my man 50 grand. We did this 20 episodes, and honestly I think they keep getting better and better. I think the chemistry, the fluidity, the guests and how we chop it up with them, I think we've kind of found our groove, and one of those passions that we've just held on to for a long time that now other people get to see. So I'm really proud about that. But of those 20, I sent you a list just in case you wasn't, so you didn't have to dig too much. I know you're 49, man, so your brain might not fire as fast as it should. But some of your favorite episodes, man, you got any that stand out?
Oh man. Thank you for the list, man. I am getting old. So often I feel like I'm sitting here listening to you and you're interviewing me week in and week out, right? And I just provide some color commentary, right? But I have in the past 20 weeks, there are a lot of episodes that just that stand out. Do I have to list them in like my favorite order? Because I even came up with some honorable mentions, man, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't say order. At least I won't share mine in order. I don't want to have to justify to anybody why, especially we had a guest, why theirs is better than somebody else's. But I will mention 5 or so that I think are just stand out for me. So,
okay,
but go. You go, I go. We'll just go back and forth.
All right, so I'll give one and then you give one, right?
Right.
This is interesting because just like usual, we don't really do a lot of rehearsing, right? There's not a lot of conversation before we get on. And so my first one that comes to mind is the sports betting and Bitcoin conversation with Verb, man. I feel like he really educated us on what Bitcoin was about, what sports betting looks like, and that one is the first one that comes to mind. How about you?
I definitely like that one. It's not on my list, but you and I wouldn't call us avid sports bettors, but we do well in Vegas, right? And so I don't know if we're just safe, or I think a few times we've even come up on some risky propositions. Nothing that's going to allow anybody to quit or take a real extended vacation, but at least allow us to come back home with more than we went with. So yeah, that one gets definitely an honorable mention for me. The number one I want to mention is State of Hip Hop, Volume 1 and 2. That one to me, I think I learned as much as I gave. Actually, I learned so much more than I gave in that one. And I found that because of the timing we did that one, I just think it really showed, our evolution as a podcast. It showed our growth as artists. It showed our growth as individuals. And just, we've said in a few weeks in a row, but the span of the group we had from 16 to, I think, mid 50s, early to mid 50s was amazing. So State of Hip Hop just really stands out for me.
Yeah. State of Hip Hop does the same thing for me too. Like State of Hip Hop is certainly in my top 5. I group both episode 1 and episode 2, or the I don't know if we call them episode 1 or 2, but the first week and the second week of the episode of Hip Hop. I mean, the State of Hip Hop. It was educational, man, and I went into it thinking that I'm just going to talk about some artists, and we're just going to kind of sit around and reflect and reminisce on the music, and from Big Bad Rocky to OG Rock, man. It was a wealth of knowledge, and let me make sure I mention the other artists, including Verb. Josh was on there. Black Fist gave such a powerful, expressed himself so powerful and passionate. I just really appreciated all of their insights, and I think we did. If there's any credit for us, really, was the production piece, because it was the largest podcast that we ever tried to put together, right? But also the pre-production piece, which was pulling together such a diverse a group of individuals. The next podcast that I'll mention is this is my third, I guess. This is my third because we already mentioned I chase you with the State of Hip Hop. Okay. Would be them Brown Girls, man. Them Brown Girls, man. Really? They I was amazed at how personal I got, and some of the things that I shared. Listen to the podcast, the day after. Usually, I don't. Nothing really surprises me. But I heard my voice crack a couple of times when I was talking about, how some of my actions may have impacted others that I dated, right? And so it was fun. It was a lot of fun sitting down with those ladies, man. And I can't wait to do it again and do their when they come back, their 19th episode or whatever.
Right. I probably should follow you with that one just to get out of the doghouse for the bedazzled Darth Vader move, but I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to keep it real. The other one that I just have to really talk about was our first episode, man. Mainly because we didn't know what we were doing. I think we just, put a camera in front of us. And if you go back and look at it, you look at the lighting, it's all bad. I think you still had your COVID fro. And we were just, two bros with cameras and a Zoom account and said, all right, let's start talking about something. And even after it was finished, I was like, now what do I do with this? I mean, okay, we finished it, but now what do I do? So I always like to go back to the beginning, man. It's humbling to see where you started. And it was a good episode. It was just our intro. And if you look at, any episode we do now versus that one, you'll laugh because it's just, we do things completely different now.
Hey, I think it's funny that I have to continue to tell you to keep my name out of your mouth, man. How you bringing up my COVID fro, man? People that watch this podcast, they forgot all about that COVID fro, man. But now here you are talking about it again, man. Yeah. I almost forgot about my COVID fro.
That happened.
The fact that we're on episode number 20 is really impressive, and that we could look back and say, man, we didn't even have an intro, we didn't have an outro, we didn't have lighting, we didn't have a plan at all, and here we are on episode 20. That really speaks to us, because we know that people start podcasts or have goals to do this, and they don't reach episode 10, let alone 20. And we know right now that whether or not we have an audience or not, we'll be sitting together on the Tuesday night, reaching episode 100. So we already know that's going to happen.
One thing I want to add before you jump into that reminder: our first episode, we didn't even have a title.
Right.
We weren't the brothers from the 818. We were just David and Kate. So, and I went back and looked. I think one of my original working titles was To Win Some or something like that. And that pops up at the beginning. I was like, what is that? Where's the brothers from the 818? They didn't exist yet. So, again, we just started with a camera and some words to say. And here we are, 20 episodes later.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but the high school photo that is attached to our podcast, man, I love that because it really shows the number of years that we've been getting down. So I love that. Another episode. So far we're only connected with the state of hip hop, and so another episode is the one, the War of the Sexes, all right, with Deb and Shay. When that just happened. Will and Jada came out, right, and right, the entanglement, and it was perfect. We couldn't have really planned that any better, right? Both of those ladies blessed us with their wisdom and their experiences, and I remember Deb told me, what did she say? She said, was it really cheating, right? If they were separated? And then I came back with my air quotes. Okay, let's call it an entanglement, right? Yeah. But that was another fun episode, and I think like the contrast, like we have certain chemistry, and I think that sometimes our guests really enhance what we're trying to do for our audience.
Agreed. And just in case Shay watches this. Your playlist is lit. I'm still rocking that bad boy.
Oh, wow.
So that playlist is nice. And it's all over the place. And when she said that what was on her list, I just had to take a second look. It was like, for real? You sure? And so I've been rocking it. And I mean, it's not an everyday rotation for me, but every once in a while I'm sitting in the house and I'm cleaning up or something, or going to the grocery store especially. I throw it in the earbuds and be rocking out through the aisles. So good looking out on that playlist for real.
Yeah.
All right. So another one I got to bring up is episode 7, honoring George Floyd. The reason that one stands out to me because, it was right after all that went down and we had something to say. So it wasn't, we'd already recorded our Tuesday night episode and we did that. That was a couple days before, but it was like a Friday and it was like, what you doing tomorrow? I think we should get together and talk about this. And so we, purposely came in to talk about, what's up with George Floyd and to give our views on it. I think as a socially conscious group of individuals, that showed our responsibility to the community, that we just really have something to say and we want to share it. And then that's the one that really gave us a feather in our cap, because what we try to do is stay, right on the bleeding edge of current. So what we're talking about right now, somebody's going to be listening to within the next few hours. Yeah. So we're not sitting on content for a week or waiting on the right time to deal with it. We're not even sitting on content for a day. And in that particular episode, even as we were speaking, things were changing, right? So it was that much more important for us to get that content out. So that episode, number 7, honoring George Floyd, stands out for me as well.
Hey man, I like that I'm glad that you mentioned that, because, I knew that I was going out of town, right? And we could have rushed and put together a podcast and still try to release it on, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So everyone to kind of fool everybody else. And I'm still sitting in my home office, right? But that's not how we get down, man. That's not how we get down. We try to keep be true to our audience and We try to give them a relevant news and speak on what's going on in our community, in our country, in our world, as it lands on our podcast, right?
Right.
And we could pre-record something on real estate, right? That's not going to change that much. We could pre-record something on banking, right? And that's not going to change that much, right? But that's not how we get down, man. I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Absolutely.
All right, so we still only got one. We still only got one. The state of hip hop is the only one that we landed on. So
Okay.
hopefully this one, maybe this one might bring us another one.
Okay.
This one is the battle of the generations, right?
Mm.
And if you don't have the battle of generations, you're probably gonna have to apologize to your son and your goddaughter, because the battle of generations, man, was just our children just educating us and really speaking to us in a way that I don't know if well, I had never heard their perspective um, on why, I don't know, older generations, or not even, it doesn't even need to be a generational thing, but why um, older adults in the workforce and society look at a younger generation or younger adults differently. And, you know, after that episode, I found myself talking to my friends and my family members and trying to educate them on my appreciation from what I learned from Iman and Christopher. So, that one is definitely also very high on my list. How about you? Last one?
That's one. I'm going to double down on that, man, because that episode, it really changed the way I think about that next generation. And not that I thought of them in a real negative light, but hearing Christopher say, how can you expect us to act like adults when you continue to treat us like children, was like an eye-opening moment for me, because
Yeah.
I think I show a lot of respect to the younger generation, but I do look at them like, y'all kids, y'all gonna act like kids, and kind of, leading the witness to do whatever they do instead of giving them the opportunity to really show up and show out. And so that was eye-opening for me. And then, I can laugh about it too, because hearing him call me David just still rubbed me the wrong way. And I think if you go back and look at it, you can even see a little twitch in my eye or some reaction when he did that. But that was good. That was a real good episode. So I'm gonna double down with you on that one for real.
Yeah, I appreciated how Iman talked about like establishing or defining success, right? And I also learned a lot about her work in her career, and what she's doing to further that and push that along. And we talk a lot, but we don't talk as much as I would like, right? But I feel like she was like giving me a playbook. She was introducing me to something that a piece of her world that I didn't know about. So I really appreciate that episode. So can I mention my honorable mentions, or do you?
Okay.
I don't even know if you have. I don't even know if you have an honorable mention.
I got one or two. Go ahead.
Um, so the honorable mention would be Jose and Josh talking about race, cultural identity, and educating us on what that looks like for Chicanos, Latinos, Hispanics. I'm missing one, man. I'm missing one. Chicanos, Latinos, Hispanics.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't,
Um,
man.
yeah.
I'm,
Now
I'm
I'm
drawing
good
a
at
blank. Now I'm gonna have to go back, man. Or I
it.
just have to tell Josh to educate me on it. And then the other honorable mention, just so I stay out the doghouse, is really when we brought my wife on. My wife, I thought it was important for us to have a medical professional, especially when we were so close, or like we're introducing our podcast, and COVID-19, the pandemic is hitting our country in a way that is crippling us. And for her to be able to come on and just share her experience was really was really special. She says, or other people say that, I'm, a week doesn't go by without me somehow referencing my wife. And so I'm going to reference her this week as well, because, just the fact that I could do this, or you and I could do this with us having young children in the home, means that somebody's putting those children down, and it's not me, because I'm on the video with you. So I'm going to do that as well.
No, I think that's honorable, and you do mention her every week on one way or another, always in an honoring way. So I got no issue with that at all. A couple for honorable mention: the protest communication in the barbershop. I think that was episode 8. Our guest was Junie, and I really like that one because he's really deep into the community service and that aspect, and he challenged both of us in a number of areas. As far as, challenging the status quo. And so I really, I think back to that one with a lot of favor and a lot of love. And the other one that jumps up, well, the other two, Happy Father's Day was good, because we had 3 ladies on for Father's Day, and they honored, 2 ladies and a man. One talked about being a father, the other honored her husband, the other honored her dad. And so I thought that was really cool. And, I did like them Brown girls for a different reason. I just thought it was cool that we could take a step back and let them run, right? And let them do their thing. And what I really want to do is let them relaunch their podcast, and let's do that show again on their station, because I want to see how it changes. I think they came in and did their thing our way.
Yeah.
I would love to see them do their thing their way with us, just to see the difference.
On that Father's Day podcast, what was the lady's name? What was her name? Maritza.
Yeah.
She was the one that came in with her zip code, right? And so, I've said, people watch this podcast, and you're not from the 818, you're not from the 91331, we kind of hope that you would kind of come in that way. But she's the only one that's done it, and I've done it a couple times, right? But at some point I'm gonna put it to bed if other people don't do it that way. But I loved her energy. And you're speaking to them Brown girls. I heard them say a couple times that if this was our podcast, it'll be different.
Right.
Well, if there was, I'm looking forward to seeing how different it's going to be, because I felt like we were pushing the envelope on some of those questions, right? And I would like to know where were they hoping to take it, or where they didn't take it,
right?
And see what kind of response their viewers will, and feedback their viewers might have.
Well, just so like we always say, we keep it raw and real. We've had some guests that have asked us to let them see our questions beforehand, and we say no. I want to see those questions now, right? So I know they had a lot more than the 12 questions they asked. And so I put in a request, hey, can I see the questions? Can I see the rest of them? Because I want to know what you didn't ask. I know what you did ask, but I want to know the ones that you didn't ask, and let's see where those went. So maybe they might hold on to them and be like, oh, we're going to do part 2 of the 2 of you on our podcast, and now y'all really going to be trapped. And so,
I'm not afraid of it. If they would have went left field, I would have just went left field with them and said, you know what? I'm not answering that on this podcast. I still got my mom, my sister, my aunties, they watching this podcast. I can't go there. Shame on y'all for trying to take me there too.
Right. So yeah, I think that was a good discussion, man, just to talk about, some of our favorite episodes and what those look like. And I think even though we didn't share a lot of commonality with the ones that I'm pointing out and you pointed out, I think we could definitely appreciate why each other like the other ones. And in truth, I got something good to say about all of them, right? And nothing really bad to say about any. There were no podcasts I'm like, oh man, I wish I could get a do-over on that. Well, no, there was one, the one where the video didn't record. And we put up like a 3-minute YouTube video and said, just go listen to it because there's no YouTube video for this one. Yeah, I would like a reshot at that one. But content-wise, again, we're growing, and I'm loving to see the evolution of our show and where it's going.
Yeah.
Every time, and again, not trying to be famous, but every time I like flip through Showtime and I see, what is it, Jesus and Mero or whatever those two are, I'm like, man, that could be us one day. And not that I'm shooting for that, but they're just two cats that got something to say that happen to be on a nationally broadcast show, and they get everybody. I think I saw a clip with Kelsey Grammer, and I saw some clips with, some other folks. I don't know why Kelsey stands out. It's just he was like in a full beard, and his face is in my head right now. But we'll see where it goes. I think the evolution of it is amazing, but more than anything, I'm just having a good time chopping it up with you.
Hey man, I think that we've been really blessed, man. A lot of our guests have come on and really surpassed the expectation. Sometimes we don't even know what to expect. And they come on and they bless us, and they represent their commitment to us. They represent themselves very well. And I just feel like part of, a great deal of our success is tied to them as well, because, people listen to podcasts for the content. People listen to podcasts for, whether or not they feel like they're learning and walking away with something. And, and people have, dedicated an hour and a half of their time to allow us to ask questions so that we can enlighten our audience. And so I just feel blessed, man. And I'm looking forward to, where we take it in the next 80 episodes. So let me ask you this question. Looking forward, what type of podcast what topic would you like to discuss in the next 5 to 15 podcasts?
I was just thinking about that. Not top five, but next 5 episodes. For sure, I want to get that political episode going. We're in August right now. The election is November. And not because I want to sway anyone who happens to watch this. I just think I think the world needs to see 2 Black men leading a discussion about current political matters and so forth, but not from a racial perspective, but just seeing us being able to lead that discussion and the type of guests that we would bring on to help us navigate those waters. I think it's just going to be an amazing trip. And I'm really looking forward to it, for what I want to share, for what I want to hear, for the areas that I want to learn and the areas that I want to teach. I'm really looking forward to a strong political discussion as we get closer to the election. And I think that would have to happen in the next 5 episodes.
Yeah, I'm with you too, man. In regards to the political, the election, pre-election conversations. Someone asked me about a year ago about, what will I do? What would I do differently in this election cycle? And I said, well, I'm going to be more vocal. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. And this is well before the podcast. I'm going to be more vocal. I'm going to express my opinion and try to encourage people that would otherwise not vote to vote, right? I would try to educate people on the political cycle and the election system, right? And talk about issues that impact me personally, and then also impact our country, right? And I think of those things as different, because sometimes in politics, there's big ticket items and small ticket items, right? But um, some of the decisions of this administration, I think they're both that it has rubbed me in a way and affected me in a way that just really forces me to speak out on it. And we've been really mindful of not really making any one podcast a political podcast, because we knew that eventually we would have that hour and that dedicated time for that. And so we've touched on it a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to really jumping in. Another podcast that I would love to see happen, I don't know if it could happen, is for us to get our brothers on a podcast. I have a brother that's in his 60s. I think your brother is also in his 60s, right? And I would love to have a conversation with them, kind of how we had a conversation with them brown girls and with the War of the Sexes, right? And just kind of ask them some questions about, how was it when they were growing up, and what did they think, 30 years ago? What were they looking forward to? What were their perceptions, and if they could imagine today's world with the technology. My guess is, my brother's still not using half of the technology that's out there, right? And just have a conversation about their experiences back in the day, their experiences today, and what they look forward to in the next 20 to 30 years.
I'm going to segue a little bit because I want to get back to future podcast episodes, but I was watching The Last Dance with the story about the 97, 98 Bulls, and it's a Netflix series. And they were interviewing Rodman. And, Rodman's not a spring chicken anymore, but listening to him talk and his posture and his look just made me miss my brother, man. I was like, I need to reach out to him because if I close my eyes, I swear it was my brother talking, real raspy voice, talking slow, and, speed up real quick and talk about it like this, and then come back down and go slow again. And I was just like, man, it sounds like talking to my brother, and made me miss my brother. So, and I still haven't reached out to him. So, how much was I missing him? So next week you get to check me and be like, hey man, you talked to your brother this week? And the answer better be yes. So I need to do that. But yeah, I think that'd be a powerful episode to do. And especially, the technology aspect of it, right? Another quick segue, I was cleaning out a cabinet the other day and I found one of my flasks, right? So I got a flask that has my name on it, has my birthday, and the year 2000. So this flask is 20 years old. And I shared a story with my girl about being in Pennsylvania, hanging out with this cat, and he was a little older, I said, well, I was 30 then, and he was 50, right? So he then was my age now, and his wife didn't allow him to drink. So we were in the backyard, and I poured out my flask and took a sip, and I kind of looked around and extended it to him, and he kind of looked around and was like, yeah, give me that, and took a little sip and gave it back. It's like, don't tell nobody. Hopefully his wife and he aren't watching this, because he'd be 70 now, and I hope he ain't getting in trouble for something that happens 20 years ago. But yeah, that generational thing, man, especially as we, can have that conversation with our brothers, and them being, 12 to 15 years older than us, would give some good relational perspective. So that would be a good one as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other one I'm really looking forward to, if we can ever put it together, I would love to do a relationship roundtable, similar to, the state of hip hop with that number of guests. But, a few ladies, I think your wife should be a part of it. I think my girl should be a part of it. And some other people, just to really, kind of go back and forth, maybe a 3-on-3, 3 guys, 3 women, that let's talk about relationships and expectations and things along those lines, and just really dig into, again, not so much the men are from Mars, women are from Venus aspect, but, focusing specifically on relationships and what we see and how we see things differently. And what does that mean for a married couple? What does that mean for a couple that's just dating? What does that mean for, somewhere in between, so I would like to see that happen in the next 20 episodes. So
Yeah, that sounds like it'll be fun. I know that, um, people look at my wife and I as if we have it all figured out, and we don't, right? But something that is stands out is people will ask us for advice. We just got married, or we're about to get married. What advice would you give us, right? And we give them the most sound advice that we could think of, right? But anyone that has ever been in a relationship for any amount of time, they know that, advice and recommendations is just that. Sometimes you just have to put in the work.
yep.
And those relationships that are most successful continue to put in the work and show their dedication to strengthening their marriage and their relationship if they're not married. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, man, that sounds like a lot of fun, man. Just as long as you don't get me in trouble and we don't get ourselves in any trouble. We all walk away still with rings on our fingers. I'm with it, man. No ring on your finger, man. Hey, man.
But I'm not trying to get the silverware treatment either, and you remember that. So if you want to know what the silverware treatment is, you got to comment.
Nah, man, you're gonna keep my name out your mouth, boy.
Keep your name out my mouth. I'll use your alias. But if you want to know what the silverware treatment is, you have to request it in a comment, and I'll reveal that. So, all right, I got one for you though, man. So you're not much of a wish upon a star type of cat. You brought that up last week, but if you could interview anybody, if you could have anybody on the show, man. I mean, anybody, alive or dead. We're not pulling a zombie, but you can pull anybody on the show, and chop it up with them. Have them be on the Brothers from 818. Who would it be?
Barack Obama.
Mm.
I would love to just kind of sit down and see how. Yeah, I mean, I've seen him in so many interviews, right? He's well spoken. He's a educated man that has, all this worldly experience now, right? I would love to sit down with him and just kind of talk, just kind of how we're talking, right? Something that I would love to do at some point is maybe just interview you, right? We haven't even thought about that, right? For me to ask you a couple questions and take an hour and hearing you answer, right? That would be pretty awesome, right? But besides, all right, so you said alive or dead, and so Barack will be President Obama will be that big ticket. But someone that I would also love is, Mr. Brad Jordan. For y'all that don't know who that is, that's Scarface. Y'all know that I'm a big fan of Scarface. Y'all know, if y'all been listening, that he's recently ran for a public office, right? Mm-hmm. And I would love to hear about that transition. I would love to hear about some of the stories and some of his upbringing. I know that he wrote a book. I think that he's very well read. I think Brad Jordan would be an excellent interview, just because I love him as an artist, and I have a lot of respect for what I believe is the reason why he was running for that seat in his hometown, which was to improve his community, and address concerns in his community. And I always say that I would never run for office, but some of the lyrics and the content in Brad's songs, a lot of people would say Brad would never run. He could never run for office, and there he was in 2020 running for office, or 2019 running for office. And so maybe he would inspire me or convince me to change my perspective in regards to my impact that I could have in my hometown.
I got you. You didn't ask me, but I got to throw this one out there.
Yeah,
if I want to hear it. Anybody alive, and again, I like Barack. We get Barack on here. I would say, all right, let's forget my idea. But Dave Chappelle, man,
Hmm.
Love to get Dave Chappelle on it, and not for his comedic chops, although he's funny, but because of his storytelling ability, right? And I'm not pumping myself or us up, but I think we talked about this numerous times that we have so many stories that people probably just won't believe because again, Slumdog Millionaire, Forrest Gump moment. How could so much happen in an isolated individual? But I see Chappelle having those type of stories, and I think the three of us could have an amazing just chop it up session, um, and that would be hot. I would look forward to that.
Hey man, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. I can't tell a story, man. I can't. I told you that I left California now I'm in Utah, man. That's about as much as you're going to get out of me, man. I'm not a storyteller, right? Um, but and I love hearing you tell stories about our childhood and our experiences, right? Now, I want to also throw an asterisk because some people think of telling stories as like telling a lie, right? Back in the day, you couldn't say that, hey, you lying. You had to say, you telling the story, right?
No,
Because if you said you lying, Big Mama would
yeah,
come from around the corner.
right.
If you said that someone was lying, Big Mama would come from around the corner and slap someone across the head, right? And
Oh,
so you would say, oh, he's telling a story, right? And so, but I love the way that you recall experiences that we had growing up and share them with the audience, or even when we're not on the podcast, right? Because you have that knack of telling the stories. I'm like, yeah, I was there, right? Oh yeah, me and Dave, yeah, we was at the concert and that happened, right? But you're gonna fill it up with the details, man, and I really do appreciate that.
I appreciate you saying that, man. Again, I don't ever want to gas myself up, but I do pride myself on my ability to tell a good story. Um, Even if it's a joke or whatever, I think you can make any joke funny if you deliver it right. And even on that, when Christopher was in town this last time, he told a joke, and the joke was humorous. And I was like, man, I can't wait to retell that joke. He's like, why you say retell? It's like, because I'm gonna make it funny, right? When I tell that joke, people are gonna be cracking up. And so I completely forgot the entire context of it. And so I called him a couple nights ago. I was like, yo, man, hey, tell me that joke. Give me the Cliff Notes version because I want to tell it, but I want to tell it my way. He says, no, I got a new joke for you. I got a new joke. He told me the same joke, but he delivered it. And he was
Oh
like, I needed you to hear me deliver this joke. And so, and he did, and he banged it out. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about, man. And I was on the floor laughing because now it was funny because of the way he delivered it. And so, and maybe, I'm thinking about it. We'll see what time it is. I got a joke for you that's going to make you laugh that one of my favorite ones to tell, and maybe it'll make some other people laugh as well. But I appreciate you saying that because I see Chappelle that type of a storyteller where
yeah.
he can get into the details and he can make an encounter that shouldn't be funny make you hold your stomach and roll over because he's giving you a perspective of it that you wouldn't necessarily see. So the other one I have to go to, and again, not trying to bring up the dead or anything. I'd love to chop it up with Malcolm, right? And just Malcolm X, just to have that.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, I'd love to have that opportunity to, dig deeper into where he was going instead of where
Wow.
he's been, right? And so I
Yeah.
think most of America, and I don't want to throw percentages out there, but most of America know Malcolm X as the white people hating leader of this fascist racist group called the Nation of Islam. And then he was killed, and he's become a martyr and so forth. But I want to talk to the leader, to the founder of the Organization of African American Unity. And I want
Yeah.
to talk about how he was about to go to the United Nations and bring up the civil rights issue in the United States as a human rights violation into the United Nations. And I want to talk about that. Where were you going with that? And I think that would just be foundational, and it would change the rhetoric for a generation and generations to come to hear that story out of his own mouth.
Wow, man. You know, man, I can't tell a story, man, but I'll tell you that my father, I think in his as a young man, you know, he joined the Nation of Islam, and my father met uh, the leaders of the Nation of Islam, right? Um, and in the same room with these either icons or um, leaders of the nation at that time that will make people say, "Oh man, you're telling that story. You lying, man. There's no way that your father uh, um, sat down with Malcolm and Farrakhan, and there's no way that he was in that room, right?"
Right.
And then, you know, my father's still alive. So if you question it, and where the 818 is, you know the 91331, you know where DeGarmo is, find if you don't know where it is, find it on the map, knock on my dad's door and ask him about it. But you know, you mentioned Malcolm, and people know Malcolm as a member of the Nation of Islam, right? And people have it's not well documented, you know, the transformation that Malcolm went through, even the transformation from prison to the Nation of Islam to the African American, what's the organization there?
Of African American Unity.
Right. A lot of people just don't know about it, right? And so that would be powerful, brother, for sure.
Yeah. Old story, when I was back in Berkeley, the libraries of Berkeley, although there's 5 major libraries on the campus, and they're all in different places on the campus, but they're connected underground. So
Okay.
you go down to the 7th, 8th floor underneath and walk the canals, the hallways of the library system, and find old archives of stuff that you just wouldn't know. And that's when I really got into the history of, you know, really the civil rights movement as a whole, because I was reading a lot of the original documents and stuff that's really unpublished, but at Berkeley, because it's Berkeley, and found a lot of that information. So I've spent a lifetime studying Malcolm X and Malcolm Little and Detroit Red and Haj Malik El-Shabazz and all of those people and the individual that they were. And how it formed the man that he was. And so I would love to just, like I said, sit down and chop it up with him to just say, yo, man, in your own words, where were you going? What was this about to be for you? So powerful stuff. So we talked about, you know, somebody we really like to get to. I think, you know, I honestly, I don't think Barack's unreachable, right? I think, you know, you remember the story of 6 degrees of separation. I think within 3 people, I could get to Barack, right?
Wow.
I mean, I know someone who knows him, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't mean has met him. I mean, know someone who knows him. Now, does that mean we'll get a chance to interview him? No. I'm just saying he's not unreachable. It's just, would we be enough of a draw for him to say, why would I want to go and interview with the brothers from the 818?
Let me ask you this question. Did you get your jacket?
No.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
Here's the real trip about that. The company that I bought it from, I'll just say, I won't put them on blast, but it's out of the word New York City is in their name, mm-hmm. right? And it's jackets out of New York City. And so I did receive a delivery notification or shipment notification this past Friday from Pakistan. And it went to Pakistan, to Kuwait, to Italy. The next day it was in Memphis, Tennessee. So if it keeps getting closer, I might see it any day now. I'm actually curious where, you know, what I'm going to get and what it's going to look like. So I'll keep you posted.
Dapper Dan jacket, man. I love it, man. You're getting a Dapper Dan jacket from Pakistan.
Exactly. So, reachable, you know, is it, who are we going after in the next year? I mean, I think we should really put some effort into this. And who do we want to go after in the next year? You got anybody you want to think about?
I think that I also think like Scarface is reachable. I also think he's reachable, at least from some of the stuff that I've watched online, and some of the stuff that I read. Um, I think he's about it. I think he's about that change. But other than Barack, President Obama, I don't want to be disrespectful. Other than Scarface, um, you know, I just really don't chase celebrities or follow celebrities. Not really chase. I really don't follow celebrities that well. You know, it would probably be an educator maybe. How about you, Dave?
I got a couple celebrities I would love to get, not because they're, well, yeah, because they're celebrities, but not so much because I'm such a fan, but because I think they could bring something to the show.
Mhm.
Um, if I could get Jill Scott, I would just have her here just because it's Jill Scott. But what could she bring to the show? I don't know, other than everybody who loves Jill Scott might watch it. We'd get some numbers, right? Issa Rae,
Oh
right?
wow.
Um, I think she could bring numbers, but she started her entire empire from an internet podcast she did in college, right? And I would love to just hear her story out of her own mouth from, this is what I was doing, and this is what happened with it, and this is what it turned into, and this is where you can go if your heart and your drive for it is powerful enough. So I think Issa would be a good guest that our readers, that our listeners and viewers would want to see. People like that, again, you could get the right person and it will blow your numbers up, but I'm not interested in that. I really want to just bring someone that's going to add, either that would add to our conversation or would take our viewers to a place where they would want to be took, and not the fanfare of it. You want to get 1 million views on our next episode, bring Beyonce on, right? But is she going to add anything to our viewership? Not necessarily. She's just going to get our numbers up. And I love Beyonce, but from a artist standpoint, but that's not the artist I'm looking for. Maybe Jay-Z to talk about, and not that I'm chasing him either, but he kind of started from nothing and reinvested, and look where he's at now. So to tell that story of how that developed for him, those types of things are more interesting to me than fanfare, right? I think Brad Jordan has an amazing story, but that's because I read his book, right?
Right.
And so that'd be a story that our viewers would love to hear.
Yeah.
You mentioned the respect thing, and I got to speak on this because I remember in college I wrote a paper and I was referring to President Reagan as Ron. And I was like, Ron did this and Ron did that. And somebody was like, that's disrespectful. He's President Reagan. And when George Bush was doing stuff that I didn't like, it was just, there goes George again. It's like, that's disrespectful. I don't know if I see it as disrespect to refer to Barack as to refer to President Obama as Barack. I do want to give him all the respect that his title deserves. So I don't want to say I'm purposely disrespecting him. But I think, in at least in the last few presidencies, he showed himself to be a president for the people. And I'm not saying a black president for black people, but a president for the people. I mean, I can think of a couple of his roundtables that he had in like a suit jacket with an open collar, and he would sip a beer, right? He's been on Comedians with Cars,
Yeah.
right, with Seinfeld. He's just showed himself to be, I'm right here in the trenches with you. He did, not Keegan, when he did the Anger Translator.
Yeah.
He had him at the White House staff dinner or something like that.
Right.
He celebrated, at the White House with Hollywood. And so he's really shown himself to be President people. When President Obama went to a Cavs game and he was, chopping it up with the players, he was gripping them up, and so he just seems like the type of cat where you could see him and say, hey, what's up, Barack? And he'd be like, oh, Caleb, good to see you, man. How you doing, brother?
Yeah.
That seems to be his normal flow, which is why I'm comfortable referring to him by his first name.
Let me say something about that. Let me say something about that. In the military, seniors call most of the juniors by their first names. but the juniors, when they're talking up, right, they call them by their title, right? And so just because, of my makeup, right, I'm going to call him President Obama until he says, hey, quit that, Caleb. Quit that, Caleb. Call me Barack, right? And then I would call him Barack. But I wouldn't call him or make the assumption that that's appropriate. But I do think that he'll be a lot of fun, and the same reasons why what you identified is the same reasons why I would love to have him on, just because he seems like he's just one of the guys, and he could just sit down with us and just kind of have some fun and fit right in. So let me ask you this question, Dave. Let me ask you this question, because we're reaching the end of our podcast. So, every week we touch on, what are you listening to? This is our episode number 20, and let's do it a little different. What is your top 5? I know that we touched on the state of hip hop. We landed on that. We celebrated, just how incredible it was for us to have all of those guests on, honoring us and sharing their knowledge. What is your top 5 in regards to the state of hip hop?
Okay, I was like, top 5. What are we getting to? Okay. Now you got me thinking about that movie. But top 5. Tupac's always on the top for me, man. If I'm gonna go in order, I don't even know if I can do this in order, but I'll name the 5 and then we can reorder them if I need to. But Tupac's on the top. My man Brad, Scarface has to be there. KRS-One in the 80s. Rakim anytime. And Eric B. and Rakim, but Rakim because he was the lyricist. He just really put that down for me. And got to round it out with PE, man. Just they defined a generation. They had me angry in a good way about being black before I knew why I should be angry in a good way about being black. So that's my top 5, man. That's hadn't thought about that in a minute. But yeah, those are those cats right there. I'm assuming groups work. So
yeah, all of it.
3 were individuals, 1 was a duo, and 1 was a group. But that's my top 5. I gotta hear this. Give it to me.
KRS-One, Eric B. Rakim, Jay-Z, Ice Cube, Scarface.
Okay. Give me your number. Give me your 6th man. Who's sitting on your bench?
Oh man, Tupac, Eminem, one of them. LL Cool J, because he's a light skinned rapper that he's a lip licker, right? And made it cool to be in hip hop. He really tried to bring sexy to the game, man. And and he had some battles too. He had some flow, right? And he was letting people know that I'm not just this lady lover, LL, Cool J, right? I got some flow too, and so I really, he was speaking to me back in the day.
Yeah, he got that track GOAT, greatest of all time. Still one of my club bangers, man. I love that, and Booming System, right? I just want to act ignorant sometimes. I put that one on. My 6th man, it's a toss-up between Jay-Z and Nas. Yeah, I think either one of them could do the job for me, but different seasons for each. Yeah, that's where that would have to be.
Yeah, Nas is on there for me for sure. Top 10. Yeah.
Interesting, man. I like that. Instead of who you listening to, who's your top 5, and so who I'm gonna be listening to this week because they are all fresh on my mind. So I will definitely be chopping it up with them. So that's cool. But yeah, man, we have reached our time limit for this podcast today. Today was a little different. I don't think we were laughing so much as just getting a little deeper like we do. So we hope all of you guys out there in internet land and those of you who are driving in your cars and listening to us on one of our multiple streaming channels, we hope you've enjoyed this time with us where we're just reflecting on what these last 20 episodes have done for us. And not only that, but where we're going, right?
Yeah.
Caleb said I think we even said it. I don't know. I'm going to go back and listen to it and see. But on episode 1, we were looking forward to episode 100. Caleb mentioned today that even as we've done each episode, we know that 100th episode is out there. And we're not going to get to it and fall off. That's just the first stepping stone. What does the 1000th episode look like? Where will we be during that time, and what's going to happen with the evolution of our podcast during it? So we're going to be here. We hope you're going to be here with us and enjoy that time. We are the brothers from the 818. We thank you for joining in with us tonight. Click that subscribe button. I don't say that a lot. I actually forget, but I know a lot of people are watching, but a lot of people forget to click that subscribe button. And we're trying to grow our true subscribership, so make sure you do that. You can catch us on YouTube. You know that because you're watching right now. We're also available on 8 or 9 or 10 streaming audio channels, including Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play Music. You can check us out there. We're on Instagram at Brothers from the 818. We're on Twitter at 818 Brothers. We're climbing the charts. If you just go to Google, type in Brothers from the 818, we're up there a lot higher than we used to be. And that's that consistency that we want to be back every week giving you this new message. So we appreciate you joining us. Caleb, you got any last words for the people before we peace out?
Hey, man, thank you for doing this with me for the last 20 weeks. I appreciate you. I love you. I hope that our viewers continue to stay with us, tell a friend, and we'll see them next week.
We'll definitely do that. Hey, man, you're in Utah. I do not have a shot glass from Utah. So if you happen to find a store out there and you see a shot glass, pick me up a little something. I'm good for it.
It's a dry state, man. Nobody doing no shots in Utah. But yeah, all right, I got you. All right, brother.
Let me know. For y'all, all y'all out there, we appreciate you spending time with the Brothers from the 818. And if you got any feedback, any thoughts, or you want to know, what did I say you get a comment for? If you want to know something, you got to go back and listen to it.
You don't want to hear about that Civil War treatment. Go ahead, man.
Civil War treatment. Anybody want to know what that is, leave a comment and I'll hit you up on it. The rest of y'all.
All right, peace.